Hey guys, it's May, and today we're going to talk about decorating our walls for Christmas, not just our trees. This is a photo grouping that is at Meemaw's house, who is my mother-in-law, so you'll hear her called Meemaw, because that's what we call them here in the South. Meemaw and Mawmaw, but she's Meemaw. And so today at Meemaw's, we're going to do a little switcheroo up here and make this Christmassy. So this setting, what is so cool about it is it's just big enough for over the love seat that we have it placed over, but what makes it work is that it's the picture in the middle and then the two pieces on the side, so it makes it just the right size. So in order for that to work for Christmas, I'll show you what we're gonna do. So Meemaw and I were shopping at a local store with this picture, and both of us were like, you can't leave here without that. So she purchased this. It was $34.99, and then I'm pretty sure it was on sale. I think everything was 20% off that day. So we got this picture, and here's what you're probably thinking, that's expensive for this picture, but here's what you need to look for. This is a classic. This is not something that is going to go in and out really quick. So you'll use this. I guarantee you she'll hang this for the next 5 years before it ever goes out of style. So that's what's really cool about that. And she spent a little money there. Now these guys we're going to hang on either side of the picture to keep our sizing right. We're very inexpensive. We picked these up today at Michael's. They were regular $16.99, but they were 40% off. So we picked up 2 of those that match. And then when we were shopping the same day, we purchased ribbon for her tree and everywhere else in the room that we're going to add ribbon to. It'll all match. And this is what we chose, and look how good that goes together. And the cool thing is this. In Meemaw's living room, she has kind of a color scheme going. She has a red, a green, a cream. This works red, green, and gold, and then we know red works. So when we're shopping, we just stay in that color range, and when we bring it together, it all works. So what I'm going to do is make a bow to go on top of each one of these before we hang them on the wall. If you are not confident in your bow making skills, this is the ribbon to go with. This is super easy. Now I'm just going to do a little simple 3-loop bow. And I'm going to show you how to do it. Here's what you're going to need. Some ribbon of whatever size you'd like, but make sure it's the same on both sides. That's the trick for this easy bow. You'll need some scissors, obviously. You'll need some wire for the middle. You can also use a pipe cleaner or chenille stem. This is my favorite wire for bow making because you don't have to remember where your wire clippers are. This is awesome. It comes with the built-in little wire clipper. And we are ready to go. For this simple bow, the first thing you're going to do is start with a small loop, something like this. This will not be the size of your other loops. You'll start small here, and you're going to scrunch together the bottom portion, leaving the top in a loop. Okay? Then, this is what makes this ribbon so easy. All you'll do is make the size of the loop you want, bring it together in the back, and squish. You're just squishing it together behind your first small loop. Then you're going to bring this ribbon out to the other side and do the same thing. Now what makes this so easy is there's no twisting. When your ribbon is one-sided, you have to twist in the middle in order to make it match. So if you're not confident, this is the way to go. Now I'm going to repeat that 2 more times with my ribbon going behind that first loop and squishing it down and holding it all between my thumb and 2 first fingers. Same thing on the other side. Now I know this looks cumbersome, but I don't like to cut it away from the roll yet because I want to make sure that I don't waste ribbon. So I leave it on the roll and just work with the loops. That is my 3-loop bow. As you can see from the side, I have 3 loops on either side, and they are virtually the same. Now to finish this bow and to give yourself tails on the bow, you want to make a larger loop at the bottom, the length that you want your tails to be. So I want my tails to be about that long, and so I just scrunch it underneath the bow, still attached to my ribbon. Now I take my wire that I have prepared, place it through the middle of the bow, bring it around to where it meets in the back, and twist it as tight as you can get it. The tighter, the better your loops are. Okay? Now we can cut it away because we know we're right. Now for the fun part, the fidgeting. I tell you this all the time. To have a pretty bow, you have to fidget. And the cool thing is, when you have this loopy bow like we did, you can adjust the size of the bows just by pulling from one side to the other. If I pull here, see how this one gets smaller, and if I pull here, this one gets smaller. So you just pay attention to what's where and get them all even. Then the final touch is to cut your tails. Super simple. Fold it in half in the middle. Fold it one more time so you get this sort of V shape. Come back to the center of the ribbon. This is not the wired edge, this is the center, and cut in a V. And what you end up with are two dovetailed pieces of ribbon on the end of your bow. And that is your bow. And now just attach this and we'll be ready to hang it up. So there you go, the finished product. We put bows on top of our little swags that we purchased at Michael's. This is the bow that I showed you how to do with the 3 loops, and then the photo in the middle. And look how cute and festive. And you can have that decoration for years. So if you have to spend a little money, no big deal, because it's going to last you at least 5 years before it goes out of style.
Tired now.
Okay, so sometimes you might run into a spot in a tree that's kind of big like this and you might not like it. One of my favorite ways to get rid of a spot, and the easiest way, is to use floral picks. Now everybody's familiar with these, I'm sure. These are what you pick up at Michael's, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. This is kind of a big one, but they come smaller, bigger, whatever. The tip today is buy these at the end of the year in your color scheme after Christmas, when you can get them for like $1/4 a piece. Then next year when it's time to do your tree, watch the difference. You simply poke it into your tree and the tree will grab it and hold it for you, and look how beautiful that is in the tree. So simple. So when I show you the final product of the tree, look for those picks because you'll see them all the way through the tree. Time for the age-old question. What do you do with the top of your tree? There's so many options, from angels to snowman hats to Santa hats to ribbon, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to use ribbon, and I want to show you my new trick to make this super easy, and anybody can do it. Plain ribbon, okay? Same on both sides. Make a loop. Start somewhere at the top with one of the sprigs. Put the loop in the sprig and then twist the sprig around the loop. That's number 1 loop, okay? Now you're going to take it and make another loop, a little lower down. Let your ribbon go a little further. Grab it in this area, come to another sprig, and loop it. And I want to show you that this one even had an ornament on it. Can you see that ornament? And it does not affect it. The ornament still hangs. Now we're going to take and make another loop. It's going to be to this side. We'll find a sprig for it. Even if you reach to the back and use a sprig, that's fine. Wrap the sprig around it, pull the loop out. The loops can go in many different directions. It's not going to matter, because when I show you what we do to finish it, it'll all make sense. So start with your loops and work them into a shaping here, and then do another shaping on the other side. If you can see your tree all the way around, you'll need to do a shaping all the way around the tree. But this one is only seen from two sides. So as I've been looping, you can see I've got the loops going in different directions. I've left myself with the hole in the center. All you'll do is come to the end of your ribbon, bring it into a loop, like we've been doing, and put it into that space and wrap a twig around it. And then all your loops are full. Now once you have all your loops in place at the top, I've made a 2-loop very floppy bow, just like we did earlier, making the bows for the swags. What you'll do here is take the center where you have it pinched, grab a piece of your tree, and twist it around the middle, pinching it good and tight. And now, where your ribbon loops end, you have a bow. Now that you have your bow in place and secured with the twig, leave the excess hanging long, and we'll trim it at a different spot we decide on later. Okay, for a cool trick for your scissors, if you're up on a stepladder, like I am, and you don't want to put your scissors down and lose them, find a sprig on the tree and hang them. Now don't forget them, because they're not a great ornament. Okay, so as you can see, I have my loops in this area, and where my loops ended, I went right behind it and put a tall sprig of glittered leaves tucked into the tree behind it to be kind of like my barrier. Again, I'm doing a tree that won't be seen from behind, so I'm not worried about behind it. If you are doing it all the way around, you're just going to make sure you do this in a circle all the way around. The next thing I'm going to do is bring in another sprig. Now I have these loops here that are separated. I'm going to take this sprig and fill in that spot. So basically, we're doing a cheater bow at the top of our tree. We'll keep doing this, just filling in with sprigs here and there. We'll take this sprig now, and I want to point something out to you. This is a different green than we've been using all day, but it works. Green is such a neutral color, as you know, in nature. There are so many different shades of green. So I'm just finding a spot for it and tucking. And look how we're getting our cheater bow working. Make sure you bring your loops out so you can see them, because we want to make sure that everybody can see our ribbon work. Okay, so this is the top of our tree, and although it looks like we did so much work with a bow and some ribbon and all this good stuff, it's really simple, and here's what it is. For example, this poinsettia, that pine cone, that green sprig, and the gold at the top is one sprig purchased at Hobby Lobby years ago, and it is poked straight into the top of the tree to give us height. Then on the sides, we just came through and put picks all the way where there was an open spot between our loops. The same on the other side, just picks. And to give it the drape at the bottom, these beads are just poked up into the tree instead of down into the tree, and they hang like this. Then to finish it off, our tails just loop into the tree in 3 different spots. I like to do 3s, 5s, remember odd numbers. And that is the tree. Now we're going to show you a view from top to bottom.